Okay, welcome everybody. My name is Damien, and I'm very happy to be able to give you a little tour of our application today. I'm gonna start off by giving you a brief introduction to OpenS App with a few PowerPoint slides, and then we're actually gonna create our first app together. And it's gonna be a pretty cool calculation app with lots of interesting features that we will share with our colleagues. As you think of questions, you can always post them at the bottom of the GoToWebinar panel in the questions section. We will send you the answers after the webinar. All right, so let's dive right in. OpenSAP is a cloud service and helps you very quickly create and instantly share business apps. These apps can be created directly from your existing data. You can leave the Excel spreadsheet, for example, that you've been using for years, maybe on your server, in your SharePoint, wherever you keep your data. And you'll have a native app that runs on iOS, Android, and Windows within a few minutes. You're also able to run it in your browser, by the way. You can even embed the app in your website. One of the biggest challenges today is mobility, and that probably is the reason why so many of you are listening right now. Everybody seems to be talking about mobile business, but the reality is that dedicated business apps are still very rare. Despite mobile devices, data is still distributed as a PDF or Excel file, and this is not a good workflow and basically useless on mobile. The reason for that is that building apps today, as you probably all know, is still very expensive and also very time consuming. Only developers or power users who know their way around development tools can actually do it themselves. And this is where OpenS App comes in. We think creating business apps should be as easy as creating a PDF file, and we actually have the solution for it. And to prove that to you, I'm going to transform an Excel into an app in a few minutes. But let me just say a few words about how that works first without getting too technical. You basically build a user-friendly front end for your data using our app creator. So we operate our Excel and the logic from the file, like formulas, functions, etc., using the app we created. And we can do something that no one else can do. We are able to handle calculated data and even recalculations of it. So in short, you build your spreadsheet, for example, as always, and then you just specify the input fields and output fields to our creator, which then does the rest. So in short, the specialists in your company who knows the processes and data exactly can convert the data into apps and distribute these apps to colleagues, and customers, or even partners. But so far, I've mainly talked about Excel as the data source for app. But a very exciting part about OpenS App is that the app generation can be integrated into existing systems and processes. That way, you can update your app and immediately receive the most current data directly from your SAP, Salesforce, SharePoint, SQL database, or whatever system you are using. This year, we will be also able to write data back into the systems. Some of you mentioned that you want to monetize the apps you created. What we have planned for the future is our own marketplace where users can sell their apps. This is basically how we will make commercial projects possible for non-developers using our OpenS App container platform. We have already taken the first step, and my colleagues are developing the profile page on the web portal. This is where the premium apps will be offered later this year. Okay, so let's have a look at some examples. This app here was created for a team event and provided all necessary information. And instead of registering by email, users could use the app to tell if they are coming, need a place to stay, which food they prefer, etc. The app also contained all information about the event, for example, the agenda that you can see here, all important contacts and addresses, maybe information how to reach the venue, etc. The special thing about this is that the assistant created the app and was able to publish any changes herself immediately. So here are just a few screenshots of the app. Here's the map with the details to the venue. Here you can see two examples of survey apps, basically forms that the user fills out and then sends to the app creator using the send button at the bottom right corner. This way you can collect data without having to send the Excel to every single person and then evaluate each file individually. You can bring in a lot of logic here because you can use the power of Excel. So for example, show certain questions when the user fills in XYZ in the app is not a problem. With a few if formulas, this is really easy to do. This app here is based on a data export from an ERP system. So instead of fighting your way through Excel files, you can search the list, filter it, see all the details. The list can also be analyzed using diagrams and provides a nice overview over the composition of the data. You can also enter data and lists so that employees can change the data while on the road. This app here is an offer calculator like we're about to build. Instead of using a laptop and Excel, we calculate the offers on our smartphone directly at the customer and can even send him a PDF with the agreed modalities. This is quite a great workflow. Here's some few screenshots, how you can create the offer, print it as PDF, and send it to the customer via mail, for example. Let's take a quick look at the most basic concept of OpenSAP. The app consists of two things: the data source, for example, an Excel spreadsheet, and an XML file in which the layout of the app is stored. We call it app definitions. The app definitions file contains only descriptive data of the app, like the name of the app, some descriptions, the icon, etc., and provides the mobile device with instructions on how to visualize the data from and how to interact with the spreadsheet. The app definition itself does not contain any sensible data. It merely describes the user interface and contains references to segments of the spreadsheet. And this is what we are building in the web portal. OpenSAP then dynamically renders the spreadsheet-based apps on mobile devices on demand when the user starts the app. So spreadsheet and XML get together on the phone of the user. To design the app, the layout and the structure of your Excel is needed, but you can create the app with dummy data and change the data source later on. Short note about GDPR. On May 25th, GDPR becomes legally binding and unifies all data protection laws throughout Europe. Privacy and other documents will be updated until the date. In case you need any specific information, please contact info@opensap.net. Okay, so you and your team build your apps and specify who can use these apps. If the source file changes, for example, the Excel spreadsheet, the app changes as well. So your easy-to-use app is always up to date and your colleagues don't work with outdated data. And as mentioned, we are able to handle calculated data and do nearly every recalculation of it, just like Excel does. But the user does not need any programming knowledge. So the logic comes from Excel, and worldwide we have 1.5 billion spreadsheet users. On the right, you see a complex company report for management. It contains not only the data, but also enables the live calculations of the data, like in Excel. For example, best case or worst case scenarios. Okay, but enough with the theory. Let's actually build something right now. First, I'll show you the original spreadsheet, then we go through the creation process, and finally we'll take a look at the finished app. Okay, so let me just switch to our website here. Okay, this is our landing page, opensap.net. Let's start the app creator by clicking on this button. The app creation starts with you picking your data source. This could be almost anything, a file on your PC, a file on your server, or one in the cloud of your choice. I will use one of our sample files in our company Dropbox. The file that's going to be the basis of our app is a license calculator for generating offers on the road. Also, if later on you would like some examples, some more files to build your first apps, you'll find quite a few more examples here. So let's first take a look at the file itself so you know what we expect from the app later on. Basic calculations. The sum change depending on the numbers of licenses and the amount of discounts. The service level can be selected here. All calculations and formulas run in the background as usual and give us some results. With the help of the diagrams on the right, we can directly see the comparison to the competition or visualize the distribution of costs. What we also have here is a defined print area located on the second worksheet. Here, all the relevant data is collected and can be presented to the customer. Let's turn that file into an app. So let's use it. In the data analysis step, we select the worksheet we want to start the app creation with. At this moment, the OpenSAP wizard analyzes the contents and the structure of the worksheet and offers us some suitable templates. Okay, so as we want to build a calculation, we select this template here. And the further creation process is slightly adapted based on the template selection. The design of our calculation app starts right here. On the right side, we see our spreadsheet. OpenSAP can, of course, handle much more complex data. However, the file should be sufficient to explain the general concept, I think. All we have to do here is select the cells we want to edit in the app and the cells we want to see in our app. As soon as we add an element to our app, the preview updates itself on the left side. This way, we define the general logic of our app, the programming behind it. So all the logic for this is already in our Excel file. What we also immediately recognize, besides the fact that we have some input fields and some of the cells are outputs, we recognize some names and headings for the individual cells. And as mentioned, yeah, we recognize if it's an input or output and what type of content is in there. When you're done, click Next. Here you can select a theme for your app that will automatically redesign all elements in your app. Let's go with that one. The card image represents your app in app lists or search results. Next, further options are available in this design step here. So please remember that you can always return to the web portal and make changes to your app. That means you don't have to be perfect right from the start. You are always welcome to try things out and change it again. On the right side here, we see the preview again. Now, this is not only a preview; it's much more. If you hover your mouse over the elements, you will notice these little icons here. If you click on this one here, you will open the editor for the respective element, for example, this input cell, and we can now edit each part of our app according to our wishes, depending on the element type, whether input, output cell, or a diagram. We will find different settings in the individual tabs of the editor. In the main tab for the input cell, for example, these are the title text, the caption, maybe a metric text. You can add restrictions such as minimum or maximum allowed values that can be entered in the app. With discounts, for example, it might be interesting to set a limit for certain employees, so they only can give, for example, 5% discount. In the tab data, we see which cell from our spreadsheet we added when using this element. So the app is a user interface on the Excel. With this element here, you basically control the corresponding cell in your Excel file. Under style, we make optical adjustments, height of the respective element, font sizes. We can change the colors for individual parts of the element. If you're familiar with XML, you can work directly with the code in the advanced tab here. Here you'll often find some additional features as well. Okay, so now our app is a bit, I would say, boring. Therefore, we switch to the rearrange elements view by clicking this icon here, where we can not only change the order of the individual elements by drag and drop, but also group them using the same functionality. So just grab one element and drop it onto another. Then these elements form a group. A look at the preview reveals that these elements are now arranged next to each other, which saves us a lot of space in our app. We can do this a few times with different elements like here. What we also can do is to add an additional page to our app. Especially with large and complex data, it can make sense to distribute them over several pages, as we often do in our Excel with different worksheets. We click on new page and rename it according to our own wishes. Let's say we call it customer. Small typo. Okay. We can now add more elements to this page. For example, the cells in which we enter the name of the customer. Those are these input fields here. And we want to add them to the page we just created. And there they are. But we can also add a diagram. So let's switch to the view here. And we can import it with a simple click. Just select the charts you want to see in the app. The title, settings, labels, we import all the information. And let's create a new page and call it charts. That's fine. So now our app consists of 3 pages where we distributed all the information. Now, we would like to use this calculator in the field directly at the customer and also be able to send the calculated offers by mail. So we want to activate the print functionality. Here we select the worksheet with the print area. And this is how we basically activate the PDF function in our app. We could now add in what we call an action button to the action to start the printing. In addition to the functions already shown, you will find further settings in the left menu. So just feel free to take a look around, try things out, and in case you're missing something, just let us know. So when we're done designing our app, we go to the next step. Now, all that's left to do is to choose a name for your app and maybe add a description for the people you share the app with, but the description is optional. Okay, so let me bring my tablet up front here. So as you can see here on my phone, I have already the OpenS app host app installed on my device. I just open it up, and now I simply click on the create my app button in the web portal. It takes a few seconds, and my app is basically ready to use now and is available here in the all section. It takes a few seconds, and there it is. That's the new app we just built in the upper left corner. And if I hadn't explained every single step along the way, I think the whole process wouldn't have taken longer than 5 minutes. So it's really, really quick. The host app you see here is, by the way, is a great way to run your apps, because this way we can the apps can be actually rolled out within seconds. Whenever your data or the logic changes, and that might be on a daily basis, or you make changes to the user interface or your app, you don't have to wait for Apple or anybody to authorize your app or anything like that. You just publish it, and that's it. So your changes will be in effect immediately. Okay, so back to our app. Do you recognize the data from the original spreadsheet? Remember, this used to be a simple Excel file, and now we have a really great app. And with the app, we can work much better on the road. We can simply adjust the input fields here. The results, run with them, and show exactly what is defined in the source file. We select the service level agreement, etc. On the next page are our diagrams, which will of course also be recalculated depending on what we entered on the previous page. So we have just inserted the diagrams into our app with one click. Here is the other page where we will be able to enter the customer data, but we can do even more than only the calculations. How about showing you printing the PDF file? Use the menu on the right within your app to find further options. This also applies to the print functionality. We just click on print. So the data we enter via the app are calculated accordingly and inserted into the fields in Excel. So when we click the print as PDF button, we get the file in a matter of seconds and send it via mail or share it in another way with our customers. You can also save the data and easily recall recurring scenarios without having to fill out every single cell. Or you can leave comments for your colleagues in the app. So this license calculator is just a foretaste of what is possible with OpenS app. Now we have converted a small calculator. If you look in your company, you will probably find several such and more complex files. As already mentioned, what you see here is everything takes place in the OpenS app host application. All apps are I have created or have been shared with me can be used here. If you like an app, you can add it to your favorites. It will then be always displayed here. alongside the other apps that you use on a regular basis, for example. Feel free to check out our demo hub for some inspiration. Here you will find a number of examples of the many different kinds of apps you can build with OpenSAP. There are some dashboards or lists of our salespeople with charts, or for example our OpenSAP payment plans calculation, where you can see how advanced features can be built in. So let's say the user changes the package he wants to buy. We can show or hide different elements depending the logic from the Excel file. Here you can see machine hour rate calculation. You can build map applications, lists, or complex combinations of all these app types. Okay, so you've now seen that you can create a mobile app within just a few clicks. And as mentioned, this app runs natively on iOS, Android, Windows, and also in your browser. Updates of the underlying spreadsheet in your Dropbox or wherever will be reflected in the app instantly. So you will never have to deal with old version of the Excel file, and your workers going through email attachment becomes a thing of the past, because there is now only one version of the on your server, and you share this app with your colleagues. So let's just take a quick look how to invite people to your app and share the data with them. So you basically open the app in your in the web portal, and as app administrator, you can decide which person should have access to the app itself. You can enter you can invite them via email. Here is a list of my colleagues that I have already invited in the past to my apps. I can group them into specific groups. So now I know, okay, all the people in the controlling group will have access to the app. And let's say I want to add David additionally. Let's invite them. They will now receive an email with an information, hey, you have access to this app now. And as soon as I revoke the access, for example, for David, the app will be immediately removed from his device. So I have full control over my data, and I have full control over what my colleagues, partners, etc. can see in the app. I can manage my users in the dashboard in the users view here, and define my groups and share my app with everyone. Okay, so let me just sum up the main arguments for OpenSAP again for you. So the apps can now be created directly by the department that needs them. So you don't need any external developers. If you have an event coming up, for example, and you decide in a meeting in the morning that you would like to have an app for all participants, you have that app rolled out by lunchtime that same day. And as mentioned, the app can be used immediately on iOS, Android, Windows, and in the browser without installation. And because of it being a real native app, the usability is great, and the app even works offline. So instead of mailing around complex Excel reports that are way too complicated, can be broken or out of date every week, just share an app once that displays exactly and only what is interesting to the people, and then switch the data source accordingly. Sharing is not an issue anymore. The user of the app only sees what he or she is supposed to see, nothing else. Even the logic behind the numbers is hidden. So you could roll out your Excel sheets to your customers. And as mentioned, as soon as you revoke access to the app disappears from the smartphone of the user immediately. Okay, I think we're good from now. That's it for today. Thank you for your time and the questions. You will receive the answers to all questions from the webinar in a separate email. The license calculator can be found in the demo hub. in the OpenS app application. Feel free to check out the sample files when you start the app creator on our website, and use these files for some training if you want. And if you need any help, don't hesitate to use the help button to search for articles, or to leave us a message to our support team. So now I wish you a lot of fun with the app creation, and see you next time.